In this video, I'm going to walk you through building an e-commerce AI voice agent. This customer support phone line is going to be capable of searching and recommending products to callers, placing orders, and checking the status of previous orders. Here is a quick demo. Hey, I was just looking to get an update on my order number 1008.
No problem, I can help with that. Just to confirm, your order number is 1008, is that correct?
Yep, that's it.
Let me check the status of your order real quick. Thanks for confirming. Your order number 1008 is currently unfulfilled.
To build this, I'm going to be using Shopify for our store, Retell AI to create the AI voice agent, and then we're going to use make.com to build the connection between Retell and Shopify. And as always, the templates are going to be available for completely free in my school community linked below. So jumping right into it, this right here is Retell AI, and this is the voice agent that I'm going to be constructing and showing you how to build and how to set up. All here, this is going to include building out the entire instruction set, as well as all of the function calls involved in building everything about our AI voice agent. We're then going to connect this to a Shopify store. So this is a Shopify store that I have set up with a bunch of sort of mock products to demonstrate the use case here. We're going to connect directly into this, and we're going to do so by using make.com. So this is a make.com automation, which we're going to connect directly to Retell. And this is what plugs directly into Shopify. We've got our three main pathways here, which I'll dive deeper into. To get started, I'm going to walk through the entire setup and structure of our prompt that we're going to be using in this build. And so I've just jumped into this page right here. This is a Markdown live preview tool. This is something that I always use when building out my prompts. The big benefit of using a tool like this is that we can visualize how our prompt is pretty much going to look to an AI model. So adding in the first part of our prompt here, we're going to add in our role. So if you're familiar with our prompting setup in some of my previous videos, you'll know that I always start off with a role, which just shapes its personality, shapes its purpose as an agent, and it really just guides the rest of the conversation. So I've added this role in right here. You are Ava, a smart and professional voice receptionist for an online Shopify store. Your goal is to answer incoming calls from customers, help them with their requests, such as orders, products, and FAQs, transferring them to a human agent when necessary as well. So we've just added a very high level, overall simplified role for Ava, the voice receptionist in this case. I've just called this the online Shopify store. Obviously, if you're building this for an actual store, you're going to want to put the real name of the company there, but ultimately something super basic to get started. After this, I'm going to add in some context, and this context is just going to allow this conversation to be a little bit more personalized. So in the case of this agent, it's going to be capable of looking at the user's phone number and using it later in the conversation. Obviously, if we're going to be making orders and things like that, we can use the phone number that they're calling in with to use that in the order process or for some other things as well. And so something that we can do on Retell AI is pull through the phone number that is being called on with. And we can very easily do this by using a variable. As you can see here, user number. So if you just put it in the brackets, user number, it's going to pull through the phone number that's being called with. And if we have a look here, current time, we're also going to be pulling through the current time in New York. And this is just going to allow us to further personalize the conversation. After we've added in the context, we're now going to be adding in our task. The task is going to be the main part of our prompt, the main sort of instruction set that it uses to obviously understand what it's going to be doing on this particular call. So there's a few different tasks that this particular agent is going to have. As I mentioned, there's a few different functions that we're going to be including. One is going to be searching products in Shopify. If somebody has called up the system, they're looking for a recommendation, they want to know if something is in stock, this is going to be capable of doing that. So if somebody wants to purchase a USB stick, for example, somebody can come through, they can ask if we've got one available. It's going to search our product database on Shopify and pull back the results. And that is something that obviously I'll run through on the make.com automation, although now we're going to be setting up the instruction set and the conversational pathway to actually enable that to happen. So for our task, the number one task here, greet the caller and ask how you can help them today. Your capabilities are searching for products, checking the order status, answering product and store related questions, handling FAQs, and then transferring return/refund requests. So these are all the different capabilities at a very high level that the agent is going to be capable of doing. So I have added in handling FAQs. So super basic, we're going to be able to obviously upload generalized information about the particular store. So that could be the opening hours, potentially an about section, and then just any other information related to your store that you want the agent to be capable of answering. All of the common questions that somebody has about the business and different types of products, we're going to be capable of answering them. If somebody wants to return or refund a product, in this case, I have just set it up so it does a call transfer. So obviously that is a bit more of a complex thing to handle. And so at the moment, we've just set it to transfer. For the second and third tasks, For this agent, I'm going to add them in right here. So number 2, listen to the response and determine their intent. So initially we've greeted that caller and they've told us what they're looking for, what they'd like. The second step, we're going to be listening to that response and just determining what their intent is. For number 3, once that intent is identified, we're going to be collecting any additional information needed for that particular task. So obviously we're going to be classifying that in one of these pathways. Depending on that pathway, more information is likely to be needed to be gathered in order to actually process that request. So for the first request here, we have for return or refund an order. So that particular pathway, we're going to explain to them politely that a human agent will assist them. Then we're going to transfer the call, and that's just going to be using the transfer call function. For general questions, we're going to respond using the knowledge base. So it's just going to be able to understand what we're talking about there. And I can jump into Retell to show you all about the knowledge base. But if I jump into Retell, we can upload information. As you can see here, Shopify e-commerce knowledge base is something that I've uploaded for it to be able to answer from. Otherwise, we can also add in context into the prompt itself, and that's going to make it a little bit more accurate. Otherwise, if somebody is looking for the status of their order, we're going to ask them always reconfirm by speaking as digits for their order number, or confirm if they're calling from the same phone number used in the order. So the way that we've set up the system on make.com is that it's going to be either using their order number directly. So somebody knows their order number from the email they were provided with, they can just provide that number directly. Otherwise, if they're calling in or they have a phone number that they made the order on specifically, we can also use that to search up that order. And for our last capability for placing an order, we can search the products first to actually find what order or what product they're looking to order. Previously retrieved response product will be then used to be sent off essentially to our make.com automation to be able to process that order for the particular individual. And in order to actually place an order using our particular automation, there are a few fields that we need in order for Shopify to process that. We're going to have the quantity, so how many of the products are we going to be ordering, the variant ID, which is going to come directly from the product search, the email of the user, the first name, last name, address, and phone number. Once again, the phone number can be auto-populated because we've already retrieved it up here. Otherwise, we can just ask them to provide another phone number. So obviously we are just placing an order and we are not obviously collecting any payments to process that. So what we could do is just place the order directly through the system. As I'll show you, it'll stay as unfulfilled through Shopify. And then what we can do is actually just send a text message with a payment link for somebody to process. And that is just going to allow it to be more compliant. And now for the last part of our sort of generalized task for this agent, I've just added on number 4. Once the required information is collected, call the function below to process their request. And number 5, summarize or confirm the outcome to the user. So now we've got our task set up. The agent is now equipped with exactly what its purpose is and what it needs to actually do on a particular call. But next, we really want to give it some examples. So obviously to ensure a great level of reliability, we want to really make sure the AI understands exactly what it should do and how it should respond in the real world. So going ahead and pasting in this is an example conversation that we're going to be sort of using to give the AI a very good example of what a particular scenario could look like for each of our different requests. So in this case, I'm adding in an example conversation, and this is going to be for a product inquiry and placing an order. So obviously somebody can get information regarding any of the products within the Shopify store, and then based on that, they can place an order for that product. And so this is a conversational example as well as all the function call runs, just to really give it a good idea as to what should happen under these circumstances. So we can see here, product inquiry and place an order. We've got Ava speaking. Hey there, thanks for calling. This is Ava from Flate. How can I help you today? The caller might say, hi, I was wondering if you still carry those ceramic pour over coffee sets. They're going to say, oh, cool, the ceramic pour over coffee set. Let me look that up for you. It's going to do this request right here. This is connected directly to our make.com automation. So this is a sort of a function call that's going to happen here on Retell. This is going to get sent over to make.com, and this is going to get processed through Shopify. And essentially it's just searching up product query on our database. So you can see here, ceramic pour over coffee set is going to be sort of AI extracted from the caller. It's going to get sent within the product query variable right here, and that's going to get sent over to make.com to then obviously process and pull back real product info. And based on that response from the automation, Ava's going to say, all right, so we still have them in black and cream colors, both in stock. We can text you a link to the product page. Otherwise, the caller can obviously talk to it and blah, blah, blah. If they would like to place an order for this, you can obviously see what that conversation will look like. In this case, it's going to ask them for their email, full name, address, and phone number. And then you can see I've got myself here coming through and providing my address and phone number and all of the details that it was looking for. We've even got some conditioning to spell each letter out. Specifically for the email, this is something that's quite important. If you are capturing an email over the phone, it can be a little bit of a tricky thing to do. So what we can do is just add in some conditioning to spell out each letter of that email one by one, and that's going to make it a little bit smoother, a lot more accurate. Based on this, once we've captured all the information, we've now got this right here. This is just once again an example of the request. So this is exactly all the information that we're going to be sending off to our Make.com automation in order to process the order request. This is just an example. Once again, obviously you can see at the top here, the asterisk is used to show function calling and must not be said. This is obviously just demonstrating what the function call can look like and what those variables are going to be populated with. If I jump back to Retell here, we can have a look at the few different intents that we've already set up and connected to this agent. We can see I've got the end call and transfer call, which I talked about. These are default function calls, a part of Retell. So these are already embedded. If I click on the add tool right here, you'll see custom function, but you're also going to see all of this here. These are functions that Retell has built themselves. So if you want to do a call transfer, it's really easy to do. You just hit call transfer, add in the number that you want to transfer to, and then give it a description based on when you want that to occur. And it will work with some other options here that you can look through in terms of cold transfers and warm transfers if you want it to read out a message for some more context. Otherwise, we can cancel this. Super easy to do that. Place an order, we've got a dedicated function for. So we can see here, place an order, place a Shopify order. We've added in our Make.com webhook, which I'll jump into in just a minute. Otherwise, you can see a bunch of parameters that we've added in specifically for the process of placing an order. So if I jump back into our prompt here, there's a few different values that we need to collect from the caller. And if I jump into here, we can see all of them. So we've got the quantity, the variant ID, the address, country code, phone, city name, last name, type, first name, email, zip code. So these are all the different values required in order to place an order through Shopify. Now, a lot of this can be either auto-populated by the AI. The way that this is going to work is that each of these descriptions are individual prompts. And these individual prompts are going to look at the conversation and determine if that bit of information has been captured. If it has been captured, it's going to populate the value to be sent over in our webhook request. Otherwise, if it's not, it's going to ask the user to provide it. We can see on the right-hand side, required, every single one of these parameters required fields. So these are required to be captured. None of these can't be captured. And if it isn't captured, it's going to let you know over the phone. So the next example that I'm adding in here is checking of the order status. So we can see here, check order status. This is a sort of example conversation. Ava, hi, this is Ava from Inflate. How can I help you today? They're going to say, yeah, I'm just calling to check on my order status. Absolutely. Are you calling from the same phone number that you placed the order on? If they say that they did, which is say, okay, great. And it's going to do the order lookup. We're automatically going to be able to populate the phone number based on that. And we can say, yeah, thanks for waiting, blah, blah, blah. Jumping back into Retell, if I look at our other function call that we're using for all of the other requests that we're capable of doing, currently all of the intents are actually done under this handle intent function call. So everything else that the agent is capable of doing is done through here, other than placing the order, because it has a few more parameters required. So we can see here, this is everything required in order to essentially run all of our different functions. So in this case, obviously this is only really handling searching of products and searching of orders. This is everything that we need in order to do this. And these are all the fields. So based on all of these variables that we are capable of sending off, the only thing that we're going to be using is obviously going to be the user's phone number in this case. And we're doing it in the intent of looking up an order. Obviously, the other thing that we can do is actually send through an order number directly. So that is something that we can do as well. So they're the two options that we have. But obviously at the moment, we're just prompting it to either use the phone number in this particular example, but it's obviously going to be capable of doing it through an order number, which we've prompted it at the top here to ask for both or ask for which one they would prefer. And then it's going to go ahead and do that. Then below this, we've got an example for the returns and refund request. So once again, giving them the full conversational transcript of what's going on. If somebody wants to speak to somebody, in this case, I need to return a couple of items from my last order. Ava's going to say, totally understand. Just so you know, I'll connect you with one of our team members who can get that all sorted. And then we're just running the call, a transfer call, function call at the bottom here, and it's going to transfer the call. So super basic conversational example there. And then lastly, we're going to be adding in a little bit of a different type of request, which is going to be an out of scope inquiry. So if we scroll down here, out of scope inquiry, this is just for any kind of request that we haven't accounted for. So something that we haven't accounted for at the top here at our task of these sort of 4 defined different types of pathways that we have, we need to have some sort of a backup as to what should Ava say in these cases. So in this case, if somebody is asking to change their password or something like that, Ava can say, look, I wish I could help you with that, but I can only assist you with these things. What I can do is actually transfer the call, or you can reach out to us through a different method, whatever, we're unable to actually help them in this case. Once again, just a good bit of conditioning to add in to handle that type of an edge case. You don't want the agent to think that it's capable of doing something that it's not, like changing a password, spitting out any false information. Below this, I'm going to add in some rules to follow. This is always something that we like to add into all of our conversational prompts. This is just great to really shape a lot of the common things that we add to all of our voice agents, which can really help out with a lot of things to do with realism and the human-like aspect of a lot of these calls. Some very common things in here, like using conversational fillers, pauses, the ums and ahs of sort of speech. These are things that really make it sound a lot more human. And we have some conditioning for phone numbers. We can see here speak numbers like phone numbers or order IDs as spoken digits. We don't want it to be reading out these numbers super awkwardly. We want it to read it out as 5672 and not 5672 or 5672 super quickly. We want it to be super natural. So a lot of conditioning here. Great bit of information to look through and copy and use for a lot of agents. A big thing is not doing any more than 3 to 5 sentences at a single time. So obviously with conversational agents, we don't want it reading out an entire book when it's responding to us. We want it to be super concise, super conversational, and not speaking too much that we get bored. So 3 to 5 sentences is a good amount to give it. And then just below our rules to follow and conversational guidelines, we've got some behavior rules. These behavior rules are really just adding on to the rules to follow and the conversational guidelines. This is more to do with guardrails. So we obviously don't want it to provide any fake information. We want the AI to be really understanding that it's okay not to have an answer for the user. And if it doesn't have an answer, don't try to make anything up. Follow these conditions to make it super smooth. Otherwise, if you don't know anything, just escalate it to a human. So really just letting it know that it doesn't have to answer everything. Don't make anything up. Don't hallucinate any of the data. Just really conditioning that is a good thing to do. So just quickly jumping into our Shopify store right here. This is a super basic Shopify store. I obviously don't have a Shopify store myself. This is just something I quickly set up and added in all of these products right here just to demonstrate the use case. A bunch of random products right here. We've got some mugs, some wireless charging pads, drink bottles, hard drives, travel bottles, phone stands, bags, whatever, bunch of random products that we can obviously use to search through and talk to our agent about. And this is all going to be connected via make.com. So jumping into the make.com flow, this right here is everything that we need to set up our connection into Shopify. So we can see here, we're starting off this automation with a webhook as always. This is going to allow us to obviously run our function call. So with this webhook, if I click into this particular URL is what we're directly connecting into from our Retell agent right here. So in these function calls that I ran through earlier, these API endpoints, this is our make.com flow, and this is that webhook URL. So just sending all the requests off to there. As always, both of these requests are using the exact same URL. So it's both going to the same automation. We've just set up some conditioning so that we've got a router on our make.com automation. So it knows what request is coming through and it knows which pathway to go down dependent on that. So for the first flow in this automation, we've got our searching of products. So this is going to allow the user to provide a particular inquiry about some type of product, and it is going to search the database on Shopify. And so if you jump into this router right here, we can see here we've got a type that's coming through from Retell. If I jump back into our Retell function call, this is for our handle intent. So the couple of different requests that we can do with this particular function call, we can see one of the parameter names is type. So one of the things that we're going to be capturing from the conversation is going to be the type of intent that they're looking for. Once again, because this particular function is handling both the searching of products and searching of orders, all that we need to do is have a prompt that looks at this and that's going to understand, are we going to be looking up any orders or searching any products? And it's going to classify one of these, send it off to make.com, and we're going to be able to conditionally use that value through the router. So going down this path, we're searching products. We're going to be using the search product in this case, obviously. Once that's occurred, we're going to be jumping into the first Shopify module, which is going to allow us to search products. So it's great. Shopify has quite a few good modules here on make.com, which makes setting all this up quite a bit easier. And so what I've done is I've gone ahead and selected the query mode to advanced. We're just going to be setting this up, which is going to allow us to, as you can see here, we can map the query manually right below us. And this is going to be coming from Retell once again for our product query. What this is going to do is pretty much just do a search of the database. So we're going to be searching our product database like you would if you went to an e-commerce store and just typed what you were looking for. Same process is going to happen in this case. If somebody is looking for an individual product, it's going to take that, send it in the product inquiry, return back 5 products from that search, the top 5 products coming back from that search. We're going to be able to obviously give that to the user through the webhook response right here back into Retell. So this product query right here, if we jump back to Retell, we can find that on this list right here. So if we look down onto this, we can see product query. So the query used to find the relevant product when the type is search product. So this is just, once again, it's an AI set value. This is not a static value. The AI itself here on Retell is going to determine what product we're going to be searching for. So this allows us to have a little bit of flexibility as to what we're searching for. There are obviously 2 different types of searches when it comes to recommendations versus just searching up a product. If somebody is looking for a wireless charger, they can just say that they're looking for a wireless charger. We can search that up and that's great. Although we also want to account for the fact that somebody might say that their phone is dead battery and they need a solution. Obviously, you know that you need a charger. That's kind of a very simple analogy to use. But in this case, this still will work. So obviously on our Retell prompt, Retell itself and the prompt that we've got there is going to understand that the user has requested something that needs to be converted into some sort of product, then it's going to send it off in our query right here, and we're going to pull back some real products. And so that's where the recommendation element is being used. Next, once that search has occurred with that particular query, we've got this tools right here, which is just sort of aggregating all of the bundles and all the products that have just come through from here and converting it into text. That is then able to be sent back to Retell through this webhook response right here. So a webhook response literally just sends information back to Retell AI from our webhook request. And then Retell is obviously going to be able to process our orders. And then obviously Retell is going to be able to process the newly found products. So to test this out, I'm just going to stay here on this make.com page. We're going to see if it can go down this pathway and provide us with the accurate information from our Shopify store. So coming back to Retell, I'm going to ask it for the mug. So I'm going to say, hi, I was looking for a mug. Do you have any that should trigger our search function? Use the mug as our query search and pull it back. So we can see here, we do have a mug in stock. It's called the Terratone ceramic mug, blah, blah, blah. We can see the tool result has pulled back that. And we can see the product query was mug, exactly how we intended it. Jumping into make.com, we can see that came through perfectly. We can see all of these were triggered. When we click into this, we can see specifically what actually happened behind the scenes. And we can see that the mug was just very simply pulled through on our query, Terratone ceramic mug, pulled through, sent through, and provided into the conversational transcript right here. So awesome, that worked exactly how we intended it to. The next part of the automation that I'll jump into is going to be placing an order. So this is something that we can, once again, use the native create an order Shopify module for. So super easy to get that going. Place an order is going to come through. So the type is going to come through as place an order. So exactly how the search products function just worked in the router of the pathway. Shopify create an order. I'll jump into this, and all we're doing is just filling out all of the line items required to process an order through the Shopify module here. All of these values are being populated from the Retell AI request that's coming through. As long as the customer provides all this information, it can automatically get populated into all of these fields, and then your order is going to be placed. So super basic, super easy to do that. We can obviously try it out right now and see if it goes down that particular pathway. And then if the order goes through, obviously going to be hitting the webhook response where it's going to say it was updated successfully. Now this is set up in quite a sort of a happy test case scenario where it's just going to say that it was successful no matter what actually happens. What you could do is add in some additional branches here to obviously add in some conditioning. If the order doesn't go through, if there's an issue, we can obviously send through a webhook response with a little bit more information as to what happened to make it a little bit more handling of edge cases. But this is really just to demonstrate the use case, obviously. So coming back to Retell, if we want to go ahead and order this mug, I can just tell it that I would like to order the mug. So that's great. I would like to order the mug. It should go ahead and provide us with all the information that we need in order to make that order. And we can see here, it's asking us for our email, our full name, our address, and our phone number to get everything set up. So I'm just going to provide all that information. So I've just provided it with all my information through the text there, and it should go ahead and just confirm that information with me. As we prompted it before, it's going to go ahead and actually try to spell out our email letter by letter, which is what prompted it to do so. So that did exactly do what we intended it to, and it's just confirming that that's all correct. Yes, that's great. So obviously I am just chatting to it through the chat function, but I'll call it in a little bit and you'll be able to hear as to exactly how that sounds. But anyways, this has gone ahead and been ordered. We've been able to place an order. If I jump back into make.com, we can now see that the order flow was triggered perfectly, went down the pathway of doing so, creating an order and sending it back into Retell, which we can obviously see that it said it was placed successfully based on that. And jumping back into Shopify, we can also see the order has come through right here as well with the address that I provided it with my phone number, my email, my name, and everything has been populated perfectly. And obviously the product as well has come through. Now, as I said earlier as well, we're not capturing a payment in this case. What we can do is actually set up some sort of a text message or an email to let the customer know that they still need to pay for their item after the order has been placed. So it is a bit more difficult to capture payment information over the phone. It is something that is possible, although not exactly something that I'm going to be covering in this video. In order to capture payment information, we actually need a level of compliance, SOC 2 compliance, in order to capture payment details. This is possible, although it is a little bit more difficult than what we're setting up here right now. So for the final function of this particular voice agent, we're going to be searching up our order status. So in this case, I'll go ahead and ask it for the status of our order. In this case, 1008 is the order that I just made. So I'm going to send that over to the agent and see if we can get an update on the status of the order. So to test that our last function is working, I'm going to say, hi, I would like an update on order 1008. send that over, see what it does, and it should obviously process that through a function call and pull back any information regarding this. So there we go. Thanks for waiting. Your order number 1008 is currently unfulfilled, which means it hasn't shipped out yet. We've prompted it to send out a tracking link. Obviously, it's not capable of actually doing that, but we've prompted it to say that. Maybe that's something that we can add in as well. And then just asking a question, do you need help with anything else? So obviously that worked. Order's unfulfilled and perfect. That worked exactly as we intended.
Hi, this is Ava from Inflate. How can I help you today?
Hey, I was just looking to get an update on my order number 1008.
No problem, I can help with that. Just to confirm, your order number is 1008, is that correct?
Yep, that's it.
Let me check the status of your order real quick. Thanks for confirming. Your order number 1008 is currently unfulfilled, which means it hasn't shipped out just yet. If you'd like, I can text you a link to your order status page so you can keep an eye on it. Is there anything else you'd like to know or need help with?
No, that's perfect. Thank you. So there we have it. If you're interested in getting any of these templates, once again, we're going to have access to everything for completely free in my school community linked below. And if you are a business owner and you've been looking at these AI voice systems or AI chat systems, or you're just exploring anything to do with AI, feel free to reach out with me and my agency using the link below as well. And if you're interested in vibe coding a completely custom AI website chatbot, check out my last video right here.